Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live community chat here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some of the things that I do every day in my own voiceover business and things that I have learned thus far. So hopefully stuff that we talk about here in our community chat will help you to move your business or career or hobby even forward. If you're not new here, then you know every week we have a new poll. And today the poll is regarding coaching. I get asked all the time if prior experience is necessary for voiceover and audiobooks. I feel like I have something in my teeth. I have something in my teeth. And I tell you, sorry, I had to ask. I have to tell you that I did not. I think the closest thing I had to acting experience before I started was a stagecraft class in high school. But what I did do is, and this goes along with the script interpretation that we're always talking about, understanding who you're talking to in the script, why you're talking to them, who the audience is, and then you could even go a little further with at what time period does this take place? What is the background? You could go a little bit further with that. But basically, who are you? Who are you talking to? And why are you talking to them? And I think with the scripts that I was presented with, I put myself in the shoes of the person that I was to become as the narrator. And that is essentially at the most base form acting, right? To effectively communicate how the person that you're portraying is feeling. Now, to get some of these additional feelings, emotions, because the written word and the spoken word are two vastly different things, right? What you read on a page is going to come out differently than you saying it out loud. And if you are to become that character and to effectively get that emotion across, then coaching, training, practice, all of those things are going to be necessary to help you to understand even perhaps some additional tips on the delivery itself. And even another thing that we touch on a lot here on my channel is the emotion that comes through. How you perceive an emotion or how you deliver an emotion verbally is how you do it, right? It might not come across the same way to someone else hearing you deliver that emotion. So we always say, give it 50% more. Give that emotion 50% more than you normally would as you, just to make sure that that emotion comes out. It comes across to the person listening. Now, we have this exercise in my Platinum group that we call the Wheel of Emotions, and it's a lot of fun. And essentially what we do is that I pick scripts, and then we have this wheel that's got different emotions on it. and we spin the wheel, and whatever emotion it lands on, then we read the script with that emotion. And through that exercise, we discover and we practice different ways, or maybe even little non like sounds and sighs, and just the way that you deliver a sentence in an emotion, and even the different ways that people can do that that'll effectively come across as that emotion, right? It's great practice. I feel like I'm already going off on a tangent, but long story short, coaching and training, at least being part of groups where you have peers that can help and give you feedback, is going to be something that is detrimental. I mean, it's something that's going to be super important to building yourself as a voice actor, to making you better as a voice actor or an audiobook narrator, because they're essentially the same thing. Audiobook narration is acting, because you're asked to become, even if it's self-help, right? You are now the voice of the author. You are an educator. You are, someone that can relate to the person listening to the book. And if it's fiction, then you become all of these different characters. The narrator also is a character. All of these things, taking classes, getting coaching, is definitely going to help you to become a better voice actor and a better audiobook narrator. But you don't have to have that experience starting out. I did not. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the best in the world. I'm not. But that is how I started. And I learned and I grew, and then I sought out coaching, and I feel like I understand how I'm supposed to deliver these things better. So it's made me a better voice actor and a better audiobook narrator. Coaching, training, I highly recommend them. As far as the poll goes, as I've been blathering on, you guys have been putting in your votes. So it looks like we got about 37 votes so far. 41% of you said yes, you have taken coaching classes, and I think that's great. I think that's a great investment in yourself and in your business, for sure. 30% of you said not yet, but I plan to. That's good. That's good. And 29% of you said no, I don't plan to. And that's fine too. I mean, essentially, it's your business. You do what you feel is right. But personally, I would highly recommend seeking out coaching, just to help you, hone your craft, to fine tune your skills, and just to come across better as a voice actor and audiobook narrator. For sure. All right, let's go over to the comments and see who's here. And I'm sure someone else, a question or a comment or two, will continue to further us along. That makes sense. I need more coffee. Paul is here first in. Good morning, Paul. Glad to have you. Hi, Angela et al. Once again, I'm getting in early as I'll have to duck out soon. I answered no to the poll, but that's because I mainly deal in nonfiction, so acting isn't really involved. And, well, you might be right. I think that acting would definitely help, even with nonfiction, for sure. Caesar says, not really sure I need it. I chose don't plan to because I really don't. But I may change my mind in the future. I feel like I have a natural ability, but it doesn't hurt to sharpen one's skills. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you're going to make this your career. Skills, training, right? I think those are all good things for something that you're going to invest a lot of yourself, a lot of your time into, for sure. Caesar then says, in addition, if I can click it, I imagine I want to know if there are any industry standards I'd want to adhere to. Oh, for sure. And through that coaching and training, then you would come to find out these things. You might learn what you didn't know you needed to know, right? I mean, as I went along, I discovered there was a whole lot that I didn't know about that I needed to know. And then having a coach or, peer groups, masterminds, workshops, things like that made me aware of them and that I needed to improve or do more or learn more about or, what have you. Caesar said that said. Hello, Angela. Hello, everyone. Running a bit of a fever, but can't miss these. I will likely crawl back into bed after this. Caesar, get some rest, my friend. Crawl back into bed. Paul says, I think the principal question answers itself, though. If you're working as a voice actor, you're gaining experience with every job you do. Very true. So do you need experience to start? No. And that's kind of how I see it, because I didn't really have much. I just used what was already here, was all my own life experiences, right? As we go through life, we experience loss. We experience joy. We experience, all the feels. We experience all those things. Difficult people. We experience different, whatever it is. And we can use that as long as we can effectively tap into that emotion, then we can put ourselves in that character's place, in that emotion, and then hopefully it'll come across to the listener. Paul then says, is acting experience beneficial, though? Almost certainly. Of course it is. And then if you don't, I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but long story short, I think eventually acting training coaching is going to be beneficial. Paul says to Caesar, last week you intrigued us all by mentioning a shotgun mic that was better than a Synco D2. You did, Caesar. I hope you fess up before you crawl back into the sheets. But I don't think you revealed what it was. Very true, Paul. He didn't, I don't think. Chris says, I am just starting out. Welcome. I love your user profile picture. I'm just starting out, so I would like to take some training just to make sure I'm starting out correctly. And I think that's a great plan. It's a great plan, Chris. Caesar says to Paul, oh yes, I completely botched the reveal. It's a Deity S Mic 3S. Wonderful, wonderful short shotgun. Quiet, super cardioid pickup, mostly flat with a gentle mid-range push. You are just so eloquent with your words, Caesar. Brandy Hamilton is here. Good morning, Brandy. Good morning from Idaho. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning, Rustic Hillbilly. Dylan says, good morning, all. I haven't had VO-specific acting coaching, but I grew up in the theater, so I've had plenty of general acting coaching. The Platinum Group has helped with the VO acting a lot, however. Yes, I think so, too. I think as a group, we learn, because there are so many people in our Platinum Group that are involved and are willing to offer their perspectives and their own experiences with things and their perceptions of things. I think we all learn quite a bit from each other. And I think we all, what is that saying? The rising tide lifts all boats, right? I think it truly is a workshop. I love the Platinum Group. Dylan says, I do plan to get specific coaching for commercial voiceovers because that's what I eventually want to focus on. And that is another great point, Dylan. I'm glad you brought that up. If you are seeking to, if you're wanting to get into, let's just say, for example, animation, then you would want to seek out a coach who focuses mainly on animation, a working voice actor who is in that sector of the industry. Same thing with commercial. You want to seek out a coach who does, effective commercials, right? They, not effective. They are actively doing commercial work. So they are the best source for you. Like, you want to go and find the coach that is doing what you want to do, right? Audiobooks, e-learning, so on and so forth. And that is probably the best route for that. Dwight says, good morning, Angela, my fellow Angelistas. Good morning, Dwight. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Paul says to Caesar, interesting mic. Doesn't look to be widely available this side of the pond. I'm sure if it's a newer mic, it might be here shortly. Aoife says, good day from Florida. Good morning, Aoife. Glad to have you. She then says to Dylan, I give you permission to brag about your skills. What is your background in theater? Did you grow up in Southern California? I grew up in Southern California. Caesar says to Paul, fancy that. Perhaps it's because it's relatively new release. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be widely available at some point soon. Glowin says, good afternoon, VO, Angela, and chat. I have missed a few of these afternoon chats. Donuts for everyone. Thank you for bringing the donuts. Goes well with my coffee. Hanging on to it. Thank you for the donuts, Glowin. Good to see you. Caesar says to Glowin, yo, how's life? Are you back in the booth yet? I think he will be shortly, soon. Right? Glowin? Soon? Dylan says, I wish. I grew up in the middle of the Midwest, small town Michigan. I've done years of small theaters and went to Central Michigan University to study theater. Acted in Detroit when I was younger. So you've got a little bit of a head start. Glowin says, life is hectic and horrifically busy. Not back in the booth yet. Caesar says, incidentally, I feel like my ability to narrate or even act came from back in the day when point-and-click adventures and RPGs were a thing, and dialogue and actions were shown as on-screen text. Interesting. I didn't think of that. Caesar says, to make up for the lack of spoken dialogue, I would often read these lines out loud. Yeah, that would definitely help. Dylan says, EverQuest and Diablo inspired a whole generation of voice actors. Yeah, for sure. Dwight says, Angela, I didn't get the donuts, but I did bring Stroop waffles. I love Stroop waffles. Are they like the original, or are they dipped in chocolate? We dig the Stroop waffles. Caesar says, years later, games would start incorporating voice acting of varying quality. And Dylan is right. Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen. Glowin says, I have a new 3/4 built booth to finish, hopefully within the next week. Good. That's awesome. Wendy, hi, Wendy, the doyenne, has joined us. I have been coached and taken many classes over the years. Yes, you have, and your insight is valuable. Sean Lester says, I put around 10% of my earnings toward coaching classes and books on acting and VO. There is no doubt that it has been worth every penny of it. And I agree. Everything that I've invested into myself and my business has definitely been worth it, for sure. Glowin says, I think the closest thing to coaching I ever had was when I was doing my first class as an instructor. Dylan says, oh, dance time's probably when the music started. Chris Adams says, I'm looking to take coaching on ACX specifically soon to make sure I'm not going to mess up from the start. I have auditioned for several already, but the process as a whole, I want to be sure about. Yeah. And that is not knowing what we don't know, right? And especially in the beginning, especially in the beginning, we're very, very hard on ourselves because we don't know what is normal. We don't know what to expect. We don't know how many auditions it may actually take to cross paths with someone who is looking for our voice. It may take a while. It may not take a while. It's hard to gauge. But the greatest advice I can give you is stay consistent and keep going. It will eventually pay off. Just keep going. Jim says, morning from sunny, wet heat Memphis. That stinks. Sorry to hear that. Chris Adams says, and good morning from nearby Nashville, Tennessee. Joe Pace says, good morning from Pickens, South Carolina. Pamela is here. Ditto with Wendy. I still have a reel-to-reel demo. Have a good day, all. I have a vet appointment for Duck the Dog's boosters. Sounds like a hoot. See you all on Thursday. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Hey, Donnie. Hola, people. Hola to you, Donnie. Christopher Powell says, is there any brand of recording software that you might recommend for a semi-beginner? I currently have Audacity. I'm not very happy with it. It doesn't seem any better than Nero. I could tell you from personal experience, because I haven't really played with any other DAWs, but I started with Audacity myself, used it for about 2 or 3 months, I think, and then was introduced to Adobe Audition and instantly fell in love. But there are other DAWs out there, and DAW stands for your Digital Audio Workstation, DAW. That is your recording and editing software. Apart from Audacity and Adobe Audition, there is Reaper, which is also used quite a bit, and then also Studio One. I would say Audacity, Adobe, and excuse me, Audacity, Adobe Audition, and Reaper are going to be the big three, the three that are most used. And if you're looking for tutorials on these, just for anybody watching, you can easily find videos on YouTube on any of those three to learn a little bit more how to use them. But I always recommend Adobe Audition because that's what I use. Joel is here. Hey, Joel. I'm currently taking VO coaching bi-weekly to keep my craft and skills up to par. Good for you. Good for you. I've always talked about getting more coaching for myself. I specifically do more on the long form side is mainly what I do. A lot of e-learning, online tutorials, online learning, and also onboarding, corporate training, stuff like that. So I would like to get coaching from someone who specifically does that, just so even though I've been doing it for, over 6 years at this point, you still want to keep learning. It's more knowledge and skills, and it's never a bad thing. You never stop learning. Gregory says, I've been acting since I was 14. Most recently, I've had to come to the realization that due to my current state of health, I can no longer be part of live productions physically. That stinks, Gregory, but sounds like voice acting is your thing. I think that's a great alternative. You do really well with it. Caesar says to Chris, have you tried upgrading to the newest version? It's a lot more versatile now with the master channel and the new limiter and compressor, plus Muse Hub integration with lots of effects. And we're talking about, so are we talking about ACX? Audition? What am I missing? Chris Adams says that was Chris Powell, Caesar. I love Audacity. Oh, okay, see, that's where I was confused. Yes. Caesar says, oh, my bad. Sausage fingers. Glowen says, a tangulant. Missed those. Well, you're guaranteed at least one. If you stop by here in the community chat, I can guarantee you at least one tangent. More often than more, Hang on, I got to turn the air conditioner on. It's hot in here. So you're going to hear some noise, and I'm sorry about that, but Jim says Audacity doesn't save as a WAV for standard recording, only as an export file. It's part of the reason for going to Audition. And I'm sure there's some workarounds, and there's a lot of that kind of thing with Audition where there's workarounds. And that was sort of one of the reasons why I left Audacity too. There was just some simple things that I couldn't just easily and quickly do. I had to take multiple steps in order to achieve a single goal. And with Audition, I didn't have to. So my workflow is much faster. That's essentially why. One of the reasons I left Audacity. Caesar says, my God, I did it again. Sorry, Chris Adams. It's okay. Joel says, I learned from other voice actors and coaches that you don't even need past experience or even in any degree to get started in voiceover. Yeah, same. I just used my own emotions and feelings. But I think coaching to have that come across in a more effective way is definitely helpful. Help me anyway. Gregory says, I wanted to feel down about this until ding, voice acting, dude. I'm applying it to my current audiobook and I'm going to double down on auditions. Good. I love roulette wheel reading tonight or reading night. Lots of fun. The Wheel of Emotions. Yeah, we do it every last Thursday of the month and it's always it's always fun. Kimberly says my coach has helped me learn higher to think about my approach in terms of what makes the script more interesting. Yes, finding a connection with the script is definitely going to help that come across more genuinely as well. And that simple question helps me tremendously when deciding on my delivery. Absolutely. Gary Micheloni says college speech and debate team when I was 50, competing with brilliant kids who were pre-law or drama majors. Never won, but learned a lot and was introduced to storytelling. Yeah, not only like public speaking, but and voiceovers or audiobook specific coaching, but also like improv classes, in-person classes, things like that help, especially for those of us that are introverts. I'm a card-carrying introvert. Learning how to be comfortable speaking in front of other people will definitely make this a lot easier too, for sure. Kimberly says, how, not higher. Oh, I see. How to think about your approach. Finding a connection to the piece definitely helps. Jim Williams says, did acting classes in college back in the 70s. There we go. Dylan says, yes, Gregory, it's a way to scratch that acting itch at your own pace. That almost came out super funny. Quitzy, am I saying that right? Phoenix, how to be a voiceover. I really hope to be one. Well, you can. You can if it's something that you really want to do. It is a pretty large learning curve. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to practice. When I say there's a lot to learn, I mean there's a lot to learn. Not just in building the business, but learning how to audition, how to format the audition, how to work the DAW, what kind of equipment and software. And so all of those things are it's definitely going to benefit you to join at least some Facebook groups. At the very least, in the beginning, lurk, ask questions, read everybody else's responses to other questions that maybe you have if you're too shy to ask yourself. You will learn a lot by just being part of a Facebook group. And then once you're a little bit more comfortable and you've learned a little bit more of the lingo and you can keep up, with other people talking, because I was completely lost in the beginning. Everybody was speaking German. But once you get to the point where you can keep up with conversations, then start to join workshops, masterminds, coaching academies, things like that. It will definitely benefit you and help move your career forward, and also introduce you into the things that you didn't know that you needed to know. I still see that every day. I was like, oh God, I didn't even know that. And it's been 6 years. Never stop learning. Kimberly says she also gives great tips on how to handle tongue twisters, technique for whispered or yelled lines, and other aspects of the craft. Coaching has definitely been worth it for me. Yeah, those are all things that we talk about in our Platinum group as well. Rich Hallstrom is here. Hey, Rich. An audiobook narrator is the voice of the book. You are the spokesperson for the book's ideas. You are also the voice of the author most of the time, right? For nonfiction. Chris says, is there a group Discord for here if you are a member of the group? If you are a part of my Platinum group, if you go to my website, voiceoverangela.com, and you go to the Platinum tab, that homepage has a join our Discord button that you can click, and then that's an invite. You can join our Discord. Christopher Powell says, for the survey, I have had acting experience and some voiceover coaching, but we'll get more. Good. I want more too. I'm never going to stop learning. Caesar says to Chris Adams, absolutely. I don't know why I'm so froggy this morning. Excuse me. Angela's Platinum Discord is an excellent community comprised of people with different skill sets, from voiceover acting to sound engineering, both digital and analog. Thank you, Caesar, for always coming up behind me and eloquently saying what I'm trying to say. Chris Adams says, thanks, Caesar. I'm going to have to look into this. Awesome. Donnie says, vocal acting coaching can teach you things like voice inflection, timing, pitch control, and hitting those ranges that are eluding you. Absolutely. Awesome. Dylan says, Angela's Discord is a wealth of knowledge full of great people that are extremely willing to help. Yes, but the Discord, I have to note, just for those of you going, oh, where's the Discord button? You have to be a Platinum member in order to access the Discord. It's one of the benefits of being a Platinum member, where we meet every week, every Thursday for a couple of hours and go through some training exercises, talk as a group, go through things, peer review, stuff like that. We also review Fiverr gigs and stuff like that. But the Discord is a perk of being a Platinum member. I am Paximus. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Angela. How are you this morning? I am fabulous. How are you, my friend? Having a great morning today in sunny SoCal. Today, drinking my cup of Java. Hope you're enjoying yours. I do plan on getting a coach in the future. Good. I think that is definitely something that should be on your radar. Khan Farhan says, hi. Hope all sound at your end. So far, so good. English isn't my native language, but I get shortlisted a lot on general American English auditions. I haven't scored any. Should I give up or keep trying? Keep trying. Just keep going. Just keep getting at it. Just go at it. The more you do it, the more you practice, the better you will just inherently get. And then also, if you decide to get training or coaching, that will definitely help you as well. But you're not always going to be the right voice for every project every time. For audiobooks, the author has a voice in their head, voices even in their head as they're writing this book, characters in mind that have voices. And you have to be that voice. You know, when they're going through all the auditions that are submitted to, produce that audiobook, if your voice doesn't match what they had in their head or close to, then you're not going to be right for that project. That doesn't mean that you should give up. It just means that you need to audition more so you have a higher probability of auditioning for something that your voice will match, that will be suited for, right? So don't give up. Just keep going. Paxima says, I went to acting school in high school, but I am always wanting to grow my abilities, known and unknown. Absolutely. I love it. Acting school in high school. Wow. Glowen says, oh my God, just check the price for the Deity mic. It's $1,121 on Amazon. Is that because it's a new release and hard to get? I hope. It's an expensive mic. It's more expensive than the Sennheiser. Dwight says, original stroopwafels with the caramel on the inside, of course. Consider me a purist. My body is a temple. Of course. But a little chocolate never hurt nobody. Come on. The stupendous Chumley says, my younger sister always said I acted like a dork. Does that count for acting experience? Yeah, absolutely. I think a little bit of dorkdom is a prerequisite for voice acting, I must say. Being more in touch with all of your feels, all of your emotions, knowing who you are as a person and accepting and embracing all of it is definitely going to help for sure. We'll have matching bracelets. We'll have matching I am a dork bracelet. You and me, Chumley. We have a super chat. Hold on. Scrolling. Sean Lester. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you. Sean says, what percentage of your time do you suppose someone who is well along in their career spends on training and coaching? Ooh. Okay. So well along in their career could also be different for a lot of people. Well along could be a couple years, could be 6 years, could be 10 years. I would say, man, that's a great question. I would say 20 to 30% of your time, maybe, just how I have spent it. And that only includes, let me back up. That not only includes the actual training, coaching with the coach themselves, but that also includes the practice time, the homework the coach gives you, the putting into practice what you have learned, right? Consciously putting into practice what you have learned, I think 20 to 30%, maybe more. And that's going to be, of course, all of this is going to be variable depending on, where you actually are, how much time you have, your experience level, what you're learning, and how much of it you need to learn, right? So there's a lot of variables there. But I would say if you're well along in your career, meaning you're established, you've got all of your, foundation pillars built, you've got income coming in, I'd say 20 to 30%, maybe. And I'm sure there's going to be other people with other opinions on this, but I think it's definitely going to be, there's going to be some variables there for sure. But that's what I would expect to spend time-wise, for sure. I got to find where I left off. Hold, please. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Caesar says to Dwight, my body is a 2-car garage. Nico UT says, hi from Minnesota. We got a few Minnesotians and Michiganians. See, dork. First time here, no experience yet. Looking to fulfill a lifelong dream since back in high school and doing book audio. Didn't have ebooks back then. No, we didn't. We had books on cassette. We had audiobooks on cassette and or CD. I remember taking car rides and listening to those. But it never clicked that it was something that I could do. Not until 6 years ago when I first discovered this and decided to go, full force into it. Jim Williams has also started working with Audacity. Audition edits exactly the same as Audacity, but offers more options. And I'm sure Audacity has updated. The last time I have seen Audacity, there's been quite a few changes, a lot of updates to Audacity, and it's still a really good DAW. I mean, I'm not digging on it. I'm not like digging at it. It's a great DAW, especially for being free. But I think it comes down to when choosing your DAW, it's personal preference. What makes most sense to you? The layout, the way that it, all the things are accessible. I mean, it's going to be preference for sure. But for a free DAW, it's really good. Masonry Construction says, recording software. I've just started using Descript Squadcast, which allows you to edit like you would a text document. That's interesting. There's a free version and sound quality is good. Descript says it meets ACX. Oh, there you go. There you go. There's all kinds of new stuff that's being introduced all the time. So it's good to have, to be in Facebook groups or masterminds or workshops and things. Otherwise, you wouldn't be made aware of these things. If you were out there on your own without any kind of community, at your back, supporting you, showing you things, answering questions, I never would have known that. Not unless somebody said something about it, just like, was mentioned here. So share that information. Share it. Share it with the world. Caesar says, I'm a longtime Audition user since 2012. Before that, during the late 90s and early 2000s, I would use SoundForge, which was bundled with my sound card at the time. Tess says, darn, had to grab donuts on the way, but glad to be here. Love my coach. That's awesome. Eric says, good morning. Donuts are in the break room. Shall we go get some donuts and come right back, y'all? Joel says, I only got into voiceover since I graduated college in 2012. I was 100% new to it. Now, fast forward 2 years later, and I've already gained so much knowledge about the industry. Yeah, it doesn't take much time if you're invested in it, if you're in those groups, if you're part of a community or communities, coaching, training, all those things. You get so far in a short period of time. Caesar says to Eric, with the white powder, like the powdered donuts. Felicia says, I'm currently taking acting classes online. It's fun. I've taken improv recently as well to help me get out of my way. Yes, that'll definitely help with that, to bring you out of your shell, to sort of suppress the introvert a little bit. Jim says George Bernard Shaw said that the art of speaking well was simply getting used to making a fool of yourself. I can agree. Caesar says to Jim Williams, my God, I must be a right expert at this point. Dwight says, I was acting earlier in my life, was pretty okay, even not bad. That said, and 27 years of corporate beat that out of me. I just realized that I am not acting big, but itty bitty. I am relearning how. I can see how that the corporate mentality will definitely make you feel that way. It changes who you are as a person, the way that you think about work and yourself. And so I think when you own a business, when you start to work for yourself after working in the corporate industry or the corporate world, it's a whole different ballgame. It's having to unprogram the corporate thinking and then reprogram. It's all you. You're okay. This is all, you can be yourself. Do the things that you want to do. Make your own schedule. Scary, intimidating, yes, but so liberating. And it does take a while to sort of reprogram your brain to not think, as you would in the corporate world. Take some time to sort of redo that. Felicia says reading plays may help too. For sure. Jim says, I have asked in with your Facebook group. Have you mean you joined? I'll double check. Caesar says to Felicia, oh yes, to be or not to be. My dog stepped on a bee. If you know, you know. Gregory says, oh, since I didn't begin with good morning, afternoon, evening, along with donuts, I brought orange juice and grapefruit juice. Good. You got to have juice with the donuts. Dwight says, don't forget to click the thumbs up. Let's try for 100% today. Yes, please. I'm trying to say gingerly and gently at the same time. My brain is going way too fast from my mouth. Gently click the like button. Yes, please. Andrew Lee says, what is FWIW? What does that stand for? Audacity allows export audio to a WAV file. Idea. Once a month, I read the lessons to our congregation. Live performance using the very best scripts in the known universe. Your challenge. Make the lessons come alive. Fabulous. That's a great challenge. Chris Adams says, speaking in front of others used to be hard for me. I've been podcasting the last 2 years, though, and that has helped. Love talking about those 80s movies. Well, share that podcast with us because I love talking about 80s movies. Felicia says to Caesar, peeking through fingers. Colette says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Colette. For what it's worth, thank you, Caesar. I'm not down with all the acronyms. Dylan says, Platinum Group meets for a couple of hours on Thursdays. The after party on Discord, however, goes until Friday morning. Yes, it does, and it has. The after party is when everybody gets together after our 2-hour meeting on our Discord, and they all get together and talk about various things. And there was a couple weeks ago, we ended our meeting, and like 2.5 hours later, I was just checking, what was going on in Discord. And I saw there was like 9 or 10 people still in the after party. And I popped in there and I was like, what are you guys doing? And they were just having a ball. I knew it was late for some of them, but they do. Caesar says to Chris, have you got a favorite? Full Metal Jacket, E.T., Legend, The Shining, Top Gun, Dead Poet Society. Dwight says, Platinum membership is pure gold. Seriously, the best VO community support and training money I have spent to date since being in this crazy industry. I appreciate that, you guys. I do love my Platinum group. Wendy says, yeah, Dylan, and being on the East Coast, the after party is a killer for this old lady. Yeah, I'm sure it was pretty late for you guys. Felicia says acting and improv classes can also help with life in general, for sure. 100% agree. I've been learning so much with the technical stuff from the Platinum Group. Very helpful and friendly. Absolutely. Caesar says to Glowin, that is insane. It's supposed to be 360 for the 2S, the older version, closer to 400 for the 3S. Yeah, I think whoever that Amazon seller is probably shouldn't list it that high, or maybe he's got his hands on one. And you know how the whole reseller game is. Tess says to Wendy, I'm with you. I'm an EST also, snoozing. Dylan says, Wendy, it's a killer for this young man, too. Fridays at work are not fun. Wendy says, I hear you, Tess, but like a dummy, I still go. I don't think that makes you a dummy. You mean to the after party? Ladex Voice says, hello from Ohio. Welcome. Just started ACX and got my first gig. Congratulations. Looking forward to starting. When it comes to recording, how do you break up the book you are recording all at once or break it up? I record each file. Actually, one of the first things I do when I get a book is I go after you skim through it, right? Even before you accept the gig, you want to confirm the word count. You want to make sure the content is something that you're comfortable with. If you've already moved past all of that stuff and you're now at, breaking down the book for production, use the table of contents as sort of your guide. Every chapter, section, not sections within each chapter. Each chapter is going to be onto itself. Each chapter is one file. But if there's like a introduction, a prologue, an epilogue, stuff like that, those are all going to be separate chapters. I usually build each file, like I'll open and name each file, and then I'll just record them and then edit them, as I can, as time allows, if that's what you're asking. Wendy says, an idiot that I am, I stay until the end. Got to learn to leave early. Nah. Colette says, I hear water. Is it raining at your house, Angela? No, that was my air conditioner. It's supposed to be raining later. It's supposed to be raining later tonight, but no, that was the AC because I think it rained. It rained a couple nights ago, so it's been very humid. Donnie says, for those on the fence, just do it. Angela's voice. Like me, you will wonder why you waited and can't remember what you were afraid of. This group is full of beautiful souls that want to succeed. The Platinum Group. Absolutely. Jim says, trying to join it, the Discord. Oh, you've had some difficulty joining the Discord. I don't know how much help I can be with that. I think it's just a matter of joining with our invite and then creating a profile on Discord. This is what I did because I'm Discord dumb too. So I had to join it and then create a profile, and then I was in the group. I'm not sure what kind of issues that you're having, Jim. Oh, we have a super chat. Hold on. Florida D. Thank you, Florida D, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. I'm new. I've been a PIO and am comfortable speaking to an audience. I just started researching this, and it seems I need the setup to start practicing to see my potential. Correct or overthinking? When you say the setup, do you mean like the equipment? Because you definitely will need equipment. You will need a microphone, an interface, headphones, a DAW, a decent computer, and a very quiet and sound-treated space. If that is the setup, then yes, you will. Because your auditions are your first impression, right? Just like with any other kind of acting. Your first impression you want to put forward is your best sound quality, your best performance. So at least being part of Facebook groups, then eventually becoming part of masterminds, workshops, and getting coaching is definitely going to help you make that first impression, aka your audition, so much better and much more effective, and hopefully win you more jobs. But the setup is definitely necessary, for sure. But it can be done on a budget. You don't need to go buy a bunch of expensive stuff. You can get, your interface and your microphone. You can get secondhand if you wanted to, and then just kind of upgrade as you go along, much like most of us do. I hope that answers your question. I don't know what's wrong with my voice today. Excuse me. Oh, God. Thank you so much for the super chat. We can get back to the comments now. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Alex says, I am working on getting into VO and do not have money for coaches. I plan to set aside earnings to get coaching and improve as I go. And that's, I think, pretty much how everybody does it. Thank you to you and the others who provide tips and advice for all. I do what I can do. I appreciate you. Jim says, I'll take a glass of that orange juice. I will too, for sure. Dwight says, don't get me wrong. I learned so much in structuring my thought process from the corporate world and how to educate and present difficult topics as well. It did, however, strip out the best acting skills. Yeah, and I think also with the corporate world, it has taught me a lot about customer service and how to deal with people, how to talk to them, how to effectively set boundaries, how to effectively get what I need to get across, especially when it comes to invoicing and things like that. That has definitely been a benefit of the corporate world for me. Donnie says the after party is NSFW, LOL, grown up talk. Sometimes. Chris Adams says, Angela, it's called Retro Life for You. Writing that down. Retro Life for You. It's on most places, but definitely iTunes and Spotify. We have YouTube as well. Well, there we go. Everybody go give Chris some support and check out the podcast. Dwight says, Wendy, you were killing it that night, girl. Dylan will never forget the lessons you gave him that night. He found a whole new shade of red. Wish I could have seen that part. I came in too late. Ladex Voice says, I'm hosting 2 podcasts currently. It really does help. Looking back, I can see a difference in confidence coming through alone. Recommend even trying to get on a podcast, get more practice. Yeah. Or make your own. Make your own podcast. It's a great way to market yourself. Making a podcast, for sure. Chris Adams says, Caesar, I love The Goonies, The Last Starfighter, Big Trouble in Little China. But honestly, I love way too many of them to list. Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, Chris. There's way too many good ones. I mean, way too many good movies in the 80s. Jim says, what essentially is formatting for ACX? Setting the standards for recording? Setting the standards for recording, but really the formatting, the end result, the formatting end result for the is to meet ACX standards, meaning the file format, right? It has to be MP3. Your RMS has to be between -18 and -23, and you cannot peak, like your volume cannot exceed -3 dB, and your noise floor must be below -60. And it takes a little bit of trial and error, a little bit of finessing, a little bit of practice to get to that point. And having someone with you while you try to, perfect that or meet those standards on your end, because there are so many variables involved. Everyone has a different voice. Everyone has a different mic. Everyone has a different recording space. So it's all going to be a little bit different. And then if you have somebody helping you to set those up, so achieving ACX standard every time is a little bit easier for you, then that is definitely a benefit. We just did that one. Colette says, TILC is one of my favorites. Is that a podcast? Dylan says, Dwight, shh, some things stay in the after party, but you're not wrong. Ladix Voice says, awesome answer. Thank you. I've heard recording as much as you can is good because your sound can change coming back the next day. Absolutely. And that is why I recommend when you're recording an audiobook, record each chapter as a different file, because if you can only get to chapters 1 and 2 files recorded that day, and then you come back tomorrow and you record chapter 3 and 4, it's going to sound a little bit different, and it might need a little extra help in the effects rack or removing noise, or, they're all going to be treated a little bit differently because they're all may sound the same, not will be, but they may sound different, not the same. Good Lord, I need more coffee. They may sound a little bit different from day to day and even hour to hour. And then depending on your voice too, right? If you're trying to burn that midnight oil and get more chapters in, I don't recommend doing that, by the way. Listen to your body. If you feel tired and you're starting to get gravel voice, then take a break, because then you're going to listen back to it the next day and go, dear God, why did I record that? Why did I push through? Now I got to re-record it because it sounds nothing like the other chapters, right? So they're going to be different from day to day. Oh, I'm sorry. Longer books can't be helped though, obviously. Yeah. Jim says, I have answered the questions put forward to join the Facebook group, but have the sense that I have to be told that I am in the group. Not clear. Yes, you request membership because it's a private group. You can't just join. I have to allow you in. I actually accepted a bunch of members this morning. So if you have, like during this discussion, if you have requested to become a member, then I haven't seen it yet because I'm in a live. But as soon as this is over, then I'll go in there and see if there's any new members pending. Florida D says that answers that question. No iPhone recordings. Thank you. Yes, I do not recommend iPhone or using any kind of phone, anything other than an actual microphone to record voiceover and audiobooks. It's not going to come across to any kind of client or casting director as professional. They can hear the difference. Believe me, a sound engineer, they can hear the difference. Old Slacker says, hi, Angela. I haven't seen you in a while. Just making a comment that you're awesome. No, you're awesome. Thank you for stopping by. I haven't seen you in a while. Wendy says, gotta go. See y'all Thursday. Bye, Wendy. I'll see you then. Dylan says to Florida D, no iPhone recording, but before you spend a mint on a mic, work on sound treating the heck out of your space. A well-treated space can make a cheap mic sound great, and badly treated space can make an expensive mic sound like a heap of dung. Yes, your space is more important than your mic, for sure. Colette says that was Big Trouble in Little China. Thank you for that. Florida D says, thanks, Dylan. Started planning for that, and I have the equipment set in the cart. Just want a confirmation before I pull the trigger. Pull that trigger. Pull that trigger. Dwight says to Dylan, what happens in the after party stays in the after party, but some things just have to be shared. How does it feel to be in that elevated category? Grant is here. Hey, Grant, what is your thoughts on doing open mic nights, such as stand-up comedy, for honing your skills? I think that's great. I think any kind of opportunity you have to speak in front of other people will help you to learn to be more comfortable with your voice, to articulate, to wrap your mouth around difficult words. I mean, it's all good things. I definitely think it is good things. Getting out of your own head. You know, I think speaking out loud in front of a lot of people for any kind of like if you're speaking to a congregation or a comedy show, and I think a comedy show is even more so because you're allowing yourself to be a little goofy, right? I think humor fixes a lot, can do a lot of good. Andrew Lee says, hey, Angela, I just joined Platinum. Welcome to the group. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Thursday. Woo! Jim Waterman says, I have a full-time DJ company. Oh, cool. Fresh out of the gate for voiceover. I'm also a drummer and singer as well. I'm a gear hound. Well, there are quite a few of those. Oops, doing too many clicking. I'm a gear hound with a treated whisper room. That's very nice. Looking for a coach and engineer to test my audio and EQ. There are a lot of coaches, as you will see, and a lot of audio engineers out there. The coach that you want to choose is, again, going to depend on which like sub niche or niche, like what section of the industry that you want to focus on. So for example, if it's video games, you want to find a coach that works with or is actively working in video games. Same with e-learning, audiobooks, commercial work. Just depends on where you want to go. For audio engineers, there are a few that I recommend here on my channel. I personally used Tim Tippett. You'll find him as VO Tech Guru. He is who I use. There is also Lenny B, and there is also Roy Yokelson. Goes by Uncle Roy. all very accomplished voice actors and audio engineers. Gregory says, gotta go tutor the next generation. See y'all. Thank you for stopping by, Gregory. Dylan says, thanks, Dwight. Being notorious suits me. Jim Williams says, time for lunch. See you next week. All right, Jim. Enjoy your lunch. Dwight says, Andrew Lee, try to get into the Discord as soon as possible. It will take a while to get yourself up to speed in there, but that is a big resource as you grow as a VO artist. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, Dwight. But it is about that time. I am going to get back to work. Thank you, everyone, for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate that you guys do take a break, out of your busy days to chat with me and everyone else here in the chat, and sharing your experiences and insight. I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. If there's something that you guys want to talk about in the future, then please leave that in the comments down below. And if you're watching this in Team Replay, please consider subscribing. That really does help my algorithms. But I will be here next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. I'll see you guys then. Bye.